Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 28th October 2017. The first article, Center can now shift troops from Bengal. So here we need to recollect one article, that is Article 355 of the Constitution. Center has a responsibility to assist the states with regard to the matters of internal disturbance. In this context, Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has asked for the stay of the troops and Center wants to withdraw. The matter went to Supreme Court and Supreme Court has clearly stated public order is the responsibility of the states and Center at its will, if necessary, can withdraw the troops from the state. Supreme Court questions Center on judicial posts. So let us understand the lineage of the issue. So the first is you have a collegium system, and to replace the collegium system, National Judicial Appointments Commission, for this an constitutional amendment is passed. It was declared as unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. Now the Supreme Court has recommended for a memorandum of procedure to make the judicial appointments transparent. It means the collegium system shall give way for a more transparent system through memorandum of procedure. Government of India was given the responsibility to finalize this and there is a lot of delay in this process. So the Supreme Court has clearly asked the government why this delay is. Because of this delay, appointment of judges to the courts is also getting delayed and it is paralyzing the judiciary. Now, the little dramas in Gujarat. So we'll not get into the rhetoric of this particular essay by Shiv Vishwanathan. Let's try to understand what is Gujarat developmental model and why the winds are changing away from BJP. So Gujarat development model, it is truly based on the neoliberal agenda. In the neoliberal agenda, so the marketization was given the importance. So the big business have grown up at the cost of the small business. Economy of scales ensured. So it has hurt the small time traders financially. So the Modi's developmental model in Gujarat is stated to be non-inclusive. So that's why many sections of the society are left behind in this process. And insensitivity towards minorities and Dalits is stated as another social reason. In this light, the section of the population Patidars who lost their economic might, economic strength, and who are basically farmers, these have taken to the streets for their reservation in government posts. And BJP's failure to handle the same also has raised the resentments. An anti-incumbency factor is expected to exist as BJP is in power for almost 2 decades over here. So in this context, the winds in Gujarat appears to be changing. But however, the networks of the BJP, RSS, these are deep in the state. To what extent opposition can break these networks is a major issue over here. All roads that lead to Kabul. Many a times, Ashraf Ghani, president of Afghanistan, he has stated, Trump's new Afghan policy is a game changer. And what might be the reason for saying so? One is, the regional approach is taken very seriously and American troops are expected to stay in Afghanistan for indefinite period if necessary without a timeline. Previously, India's role was not appreciated by US, believing that it may hurt the feelings of Islamabad. Because Islamabad's role was seen as central to stability in Afghanistan by United States. But new Afghan policy has invited India openly to participate in rebuilding of Afghanistan and a liberal economic aid from India was expected by Mr. Trump. So this is a change in perspective in the United States of America. And second, words are also clearly conveyed to Pakistan that the sponsored terrorism, state-sponsored terrorism in Afghanistan will not be tolerated. And in this context, India has to renew its focus in Afghanistan and India's interests are India's strategy is very clear over there. One, India wants an Afghanistan to be self-reliant, and any peace talks in Afghanistan has to be Afghanistan-led and Afghanistan-controlled. If you talk about the Quadrilateral Coordination Group, it was led by Pakistan. That is the reason why India was opposing it. On the other side, China and Russia are also becoming active with regard to the peace talks of Afghanistan. A reapproachment between Afghan government and the Taliban, China and Russia are also focusing. Here the major reason is China needs a stable Afghanistan for One Belt One Road initiative to be successful. And second is, in Xinjiang province of China, there is an uprising. So to fight this uprising also, a support from Afghanistan and a stable Afghanistan is necessary. So it means India's role is more appreciated and air corridor is created between India and Afghanistan when Pakistan did not allow for the transit of goods through its land. So it clearly reflects strengthening of the bond between these two countries. Paved with the big words. You know that Government of India has recently announced Bharatmala Pariyojana to upgrade the infrastructure, road infrastructure. So almost 7 lakh crore rupees are being awarded for this, which will be raised through government and also market borrowings. But the biggest problem for taking up such a huge project is failure or problems with public-private partnerships. Most of the private entities which have come up in a PPP mode, these are facing a huge debt crisis and are unable to cope up with the existing challenges. And second, banking sector revival has to go along with the infrastructure hopes. So unless government does this, we cannot expect a miracle to happen. So if it has to happen, Vijay Kelkar committee recommendations on public-private partnerships to be implemented. And revamping of this PPP structure can make this such an ambitious project to move forward. That is the article. Big vision and hazy detail. So, Mr. Rex Tillerson, the Secretary of State of United States of America, has visited India, Afghanistan and Pakistan. He was very critical of the Pakistan and its sponsored terrorism. In this case, let us understand few points over here. Though strategy or else the words are glorified, actions are nil from the United States. So he stated that India-US friendship is for a road together for next 100 years. But though he proposed the big ideas, but no detail was given over there. Let me put it this way. He proposed for an alternative to One Belt One Road initiative, foundational agreements, a maritime agreement so that there will be a collective action in the South China Sea. But the detail is not enlarged over here. The major reason is geography and strategic confusion that is existing in the United States of America. Geographically, America, till it has its presence in Afghanistan, it has to depend upon Pakistan. So it cannot go beyond a point to sever its relations with Pakistan on issue of terrorism. If you have clearly observed last week when Mr. Lashkar-e-Toiba's chief, when terror charges are being dropped against Mr. Syed, US did not even criticize that, though US has a award on his head. And second is, India is also closely as to maintain its relations with the China. So if India joins a maritime relation with the USA and takes an aggressive posture on South China Sea, so it can damage and can threaten the relation between India and China. So this geography do not make them to come together after a particular point. And strategic confusion is still continuing in USA. So these are the points we need to remember. The flaming fields of Punjab. Burning of the staples is a constant practice. Between rice and wheat season, the rice stubble is burnt in Punjab and Haryana, and it is creating a lot of dust pollution in around the Punjab and also in New Delhi. So this burning of the crop residue is banned and penalized. But why the farmers are not shifting away from it? The alternatives are not being provided and necessary machinery to convert the fodder into a manure, these are also not provided by the state. As farmers lose an important season if the process gets delayed, so the easiest way for them to finish off this task is to burn them. So that is the reason why they are more interested in doing that particular exercise. Now, act or we will, US tells Pakistan. You know that US is becoming very vocal against the Pakistan and its state-sponsored terrorism. Tokyo for quadrilateral talks. When Shinzo Abe was the Prime Minister in his first term, he has proposed for this quadrilateral grouping of India, USA, Australia and Japan. And again, this particular thought has come up. So this grouping, if effectively formed, it can be seen growing against China. And second is, as North Korea is becoming belligerent, Japan is expected to have a cooperation and coordination of all the major powers of the region. And then India, France to boost defense ties. So we bought already 36 Rafale jets from France, and France is expecting a second line of order or second round of order from India. And France defense minister is visiting India to make a ground for the President Emmanuel Macron to visit India. And then Congress soared at parliamentary panel revamp. So electoral reforms, there is a huge agenda, and this year I am expecting a question on electoral reforms. So these electoral reforms, as they are, are being submitted to a parliamentary panel which is headed by Congress. BJP hasn't submitted its recommendations still to the panel. All of a sudden, committee's head Mr. Anand Sharma was changed and a BJP chairman was appointed. So that was objected by Congress. Now, JFK files reveal mafia plots. Now, we don't get into all these things, but remember, RTI in India do not provide for disclosure of confidential agreements or confidential papers after certain point of time. So, but in the United States of America, after 30 years, the confidential files will be kept before the people. So, this kind of practice can bring in greater transparency, and RTI in India can be amended for this particular purpose. And then, last paper, I have given you the notes. This will be available to you at lax.in/test prep, /civils prep. Thank you very much and all the best.